Hello, hello, Luminary. It is Leslie Tagorda back with another episode of the Savvy Luminary. Today, I wanted to share with you a little bit of the Aquarius full moon and how we are using this change making energy, how we are illuminating this change making energy in the little changes in our own lives and the big changes and movements that we want to impact in the world. So today I'm going to be talking about the Aquarius full moon, the astrology of. We're going to be talking about what does this mean, the full moon with Venus moving into Leo, and then of course still being within that bubble of the Lionsgate portal. I'll also be answering questions from the free Facebook group, the Savvy Luminary, where there are just so many wonderful questions that I can't wait to dig into. Then I'll be offering an invitation into my movement of astrology and leadership. And lastly, I will be sharing with you your personal full moon reflections based on your rising sign. All right, let's dig in. Can you believe it's already August? It's kind of baffling me. Last week, I just got back from Hawaii after spending a month there, which I'm so grateful for, having spent that time with my family and my friends. And I really just jumped right back into, I guess, the proverbial frying pan when I returned back to the San Francisco Bay Area because my wind quintet, and I might have mentioned before that I am a professional musician, my wind quintet was hosting a seminar, a conference called Seminario for my wind quintet Quincettalatino. And so I play the clarinet, and you already know that I am a Hawaii born Filipino Jew. So, what am I doing playing in a group called Quinteto Latino when I am not a Latina? Well, I started playing in Quinteto Latino back in 2004, and this is when our quintet first started. And it's actually really unheard of for a single ensemble, classical music ensemble, a quintet, to have like all of the original players for almost 20 years. Like that is just like really outstanding. But I believe that one of the reasons why the individuals in the group, the multiracial individuals in the group, really stuck with the group was because this group had this sense of belonging that other ensembles in the classical music profession didn't have. And so this belonging and this underdogness started from our founder, Armando Castellanos' vision of playing music written by people that looked like him. All of us in the ensemble went through conservatory. So like musical training at a musical conservatory where most of the teaching is really conservative and one-tracked, meaning you're gonna win an audition for a major orchestra and then that's your job. But as we know, in classical music, there are so many different avenues, and a lot of time that pathway from going to school to winning an orchestral job is not that clear. And it is full of different kinds of systems of oppression that when you're going through this, you have no idea you're going through this. And so at the time, back all the way in 2004, Armando had given me a call and said, "Hey, do you want to, read through some music? I want to form this quintet to play music written by Latin American composers." And I was like, "Yeah, I had never heard of such a thing to play music written by Latin American composers. I've heard of a couple of Latin American composers, but we never studied any of that in conservatory." And so at that time in 2004, little did we know that we were starting a movement. We came there to solve a specific problem at that time. I'm tired of playing music written by old, dead white men. That was Armando's problem. And he called us in and he said, "Hey, do you want to try playing this new type of music? We're going to innovate." And so, over the span of the last 18 years, our quest to celebrate music written by Latinx composers has really changed into a movement where now our ensemble is a full-fledged nonprofit where we commission works to really further and celebrate more Latin American composers. We do diversity and equity training in the classical music field, whether it's chamber music or orchestras. And over the last 6 years, we have hosted a conference called Seminario, where we are supporting musicians of color, young musicians of color who have just gone through the conservatory system or starting out their careers in classical music, to give them a safe space to help build power. Because being of a marginalized identity in a really systemized space, you're going through all kinds of things. And the theme that I heard at this seminar was, am I crazy? Just because of the experience that we have felt. So when I was coming back, we had 4 days and we got to work with 18 young musicians from all over the country and some from even from Latin America. And we got them into ensembles and we were teaching them music, but really what we were giving them was a space, a safe space for community. The theme that I heard from everybody's stories was always feeling like they had no place of belonging. And when you don't feel like you belong or when you don't feel like you're safe, you're not able to really ask and inquire the powers that be. We have like these really tight relationships with our private music instructors, and half the time, we are not able to really understand or comprehend the different agendas that are coming at us. And so in Seminario, it was just so beautiful to be there to watch and to invite and to witness this deep transformation that happened not only in the participants, the musicians that we were hosting, but also for us as the hosts of Seminario. I was invited to do a talk on values-led social impact. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you know that I believe in change. I believe in activism. I believe in making social change, and that social change starts with changing ourselves. And changing ourselves oftentimes simply means getting clear on our values and leading by those values. So, what I mean is if you value freedom, making sure that in your work you are creating opportunities to live in that freedom that you so love. If your values are family, making sure that you are putting your family first in your work. If your values are excellence and expertise, then make room for all of those accomplishments that you need to get. And so when I was speaking with Seminario about values led social impact and how this social impact starts with the change in themselves, starting like the change starts with you. It was so beautiful to see like the tears of recognition where maybe people were not believing or allowing or validating their own values, getting clear on what their values were, and then knowing that they could, yes, choose how they were going to forge their careers and their musician lives according to these values. Now, maybe because of their shifting values and their clarification of values, they would need to opt out of certain things. And so I'm sure you probably have some kind of familiar inkling where when you're getting really clear about your values in your work, you start making different choices, opting out of spaces where you don't feel safe or you don't feel heard, or feeling like you just cannot keep your mouth closed, that you have to just stand up for your rights. And so this change starts with you. Okay. So I wanted to share that story because it is the perfect story about looking at our full moon in Aquarius during this Leo season. So, if you think back to February for your Aquarius new moon or intentions, I likely had invited you to be the science fiction writer. That when we are thinking about the future and the social impact and the humanity and the change that we want to see in the future, we get to individually craft that future. And so when you look back and go through your journals and you look back in February for that Aquarius new moon, I want you to look back at the impact that you wanted to create, the utopia that you had a vision for, that your business and your work was going to be a part of. And with this Leo full moon, now that our Aquarius desires are being fully illuminated by the Leo sun, now we get to make some choices. So, this Aquarius full moon, in our book, New and Full Moon Rituals for Changemakers and Entrepreneurs, Natalie Miller and I co wrote a little introduction about this full moon. And I love, we wrote these back in November of 2021. And so it's always so beautiful to come back and review what we wrote and go, wow, that was good. How did we get there? And so together, Natalie Miller and I wrote this theme for this full moon at Aquarius of 19 degrees. The full moon happens on Thursday, August 11th at 6:36 p.m. Pacific, 9:36 p.m. Eastern, again at Aquarius 19 degrees, where the theme that we came up with was breaking free of conformist shoulds. Oh my goodness. Can we just like get rid of these shoulds? Oh man, those shoulds just, I have another story, but let me read this first. So, first off, the full moon in Aquarius shines hard this year. It's spotlighting what's not working and insists that you get real fully and completely. Your ability to manifest your destiny depends on it. Yes, thank you, Lionsgate, that we are currently in that opening of that portal. Getting real with this moon means fully being with and sorting through your emotions, all of them, especially anger. Anger is your ability to take a stand and draw a line in the sand, your boundaries. The only way out of the emotional intensity is through moving your bones. So stomp, dance, climb, swing, dig in the dirt, howl at the moon, or all of the above. In this moment, you are ready to relate differently to that which makes you unique and different. That's Aquarius. Cultural conformity has probably made this aspect of yourself difficult and maybe even a source of self judgment or shame. This lunation insists that you stand fully in your uniqueness and witness the alchemy that happens when you incorporate all parts of yourself. Deep shame then transforms into profound compassion. What makes you different ascends into that which makes you desirable. Then you feel free to turn away from anyone or any place who wants you to conform and toward the opportunities and communities that want all of you. One more thing. Last month's Capricorn full moon awakened you to ways that you can revolutionize your work, either by returning to ancient technologies or by leaping into the newest ones. Now, this lunation, if you haven't yet begun your revolutionary shifts and changes, outside events are going to demand them of you. So make sure you're making that change from the inside. Okay. Wasn't that so beautiful? Like, I feel like, wow, how did we know? Well, of course, the stars share us. The stars have guided us to that. So when we think about these conformist shoulds, right? That's what we are really illuminating for this full moon. Again, Aquarius is non-conformist, and that Leo energy on the opposite side of Aquarius is just knowing so well deep in your heart exactly what you want and how you want to create it. And so that Aquarius Leo polarity, this like kind of that fixity energy and that I will energy, Aquarius, that will of the intellect and the mind and the vision of the future, and Leo, that will of creativity and passion and being your heart centered leader. all of this is coming into illumination. So I want to share with you a little of the story about those shoulds, because earlier today I was giving a talk to a networking event on integrating astrology and leadership. And, PS, that is the movement, the social impact that I am creating through our wounded leadership, reframing our wounded leadership through our astrology in our work. I digress. But I was doing kind of a mini reading for a participant there who had a lot of Pisces, a lot of Sagittarius, a lot of Gemini, and of course, she had this Aquarius moon. She already knew. And so her question wasn't about like what were her superpowers. She was really clear on what her superpowers were, but she was not clear on how to access them. And for good reason, because when we were talking about all of her Pisces energy, I really invited her to shuck everything that she learned about business planning, batching your content, having a plan and a strategy for everything. Because you know what? That's what people teach us, right? When we are about to start our businesses or, pick up a new skill, that we have to have a strategy, we have to have a result, we have to have an outcome that we want, and everything has to be like in the box and already planned. And I could see for her energy, all of that mutable energy, that flying by the seat of her pants was going to get her way more results than making a plan. And so we spent a few minutes really exploring what it would be like to simply ask spirit and ask herself, ask her heart what she wanted to do right here and right now. And let me tell you, those shoulds came in fighting heavy, because everything that she was taught about running a business was going against what was naturally part of her star powers, to go with the flow, to fly by the seat of her pants. And so I invited her for just the evening, for just a couple of hours, to not have a plan, to not have an outcome, and simply go with the flow. What might she accomplish when she got rid of all of those shoulds? And so, as you're really thinking about your creativity and your boldness and your unique impact and all the ways that you may be trying to shove yourself in the box, that you just need to break free of that box, I want you to really think about that box. Whose box is that? Who created that box? Is that box a bunch of shoulds that you are still holding on to, that you no longer need? I bet you it is. Before I continue on talking about this full moon in Aquarius, and answering the questions from my free Facebook group, the Savvy Luminary, my goodness, thank you everybody for sending such amazing questions. I wanted to invite you into my movement. Like I was sharing with my quintet's journey from 2004 till now, we didn't know at the time that we were starting a movement when we decided to get together to play music by Latin American composers. And now that I have been working in astrology and leadership and brand identity for since about 2008, little then did I know that I too was creating a movement to innovate astrology and spirituality as a strategic tool in branding and leadership development. And so today I would love to invite you into my movement and share with you the keys to unlocking and leveraging your unique astrology in your change making work. I'm super excited to announce my Written in the Stars live cohort. Written in the Stars is a 5-day introductory training for change makers and visionaries ready to start leveraging your unique astrology for a more star-powered impact in the world. That's right. So I offer Written in the Stars as an evergreen product on my website all year long, but twice a year I offer it as as a live, a week-long mini training. And so this training is really for astro beginners, like if you don't know how to read your natal chart and you're starting from scratch, and experts alike who are wanting to relearn and reframe astrology as an inclusive, revolutionizing, and decolonized approach to reading the wisdom symbols already written in your stars. Right? When we look at astrology from this unique perspective, it can unlock your luminary leadership. And this is the beginning. So, Written in the Stars is a prerequisite to almost all of my astrology trainings because I want to make sure that you have a really good foundation in the way that I look at astrology from a non judgmental way. I've been offering Written in the Stars for I think about 3 years now, and I've had hundreds of people already go through this training. And people love it because of its inclusive, equitable, and empowering approach to that replaces outdated, judgmental, colonized astrological definitions you may be used to. When you see your chart in the way that I want to teach you, you will never see your leadership in the same way. So, Written in the Stars is unlike any other chart reading class that you've ever taken. Yes, I'm going to teach you about the planets. I'm going to teach you about the zodiac archetypes and the houses and the aspects and how to read all of the little symbols in your natal chart. But what makes it so special is that Written in the Stars is going to expand your possibility, like blow your mind possibility. Because I'm going to teach you all the bits and pieces in your chart in a change making, equitable, and empowering way that works in your business so you can work it. I'm going to show you how to amplify your energy to let go of limiting self beliefs. Seriously, there's no fear mongering or judgments. Like F that. The only thing that is bad about someone's chart, if you've heard that something is like unlucky in your chart, is how someone interprets your chart where power is taken away from you. There are gifts in every single hard aspect or detrimental planet. And there are tons of potential wastes with easy aspects or exalted planets. So, in Written in the Stars, I'm going to teach you how to see your chart for all of its gifts so you can make the choices that you are being invited to through your chart. Of course, Written in the Stars is going to give you a solid footing of astrology, and I make all of these complex ideas super easy to understand. Whether you are new or fluent to the language of astrology, I want to share with you my astrological framework, philosophy, and the modern symbolic language of the stars for you to use in your change making work, leadership, and brand identity. It's what I call the Astro Brand method. And I've been talking about my Astro Brand certification, and I know that's picking up steam again. I have everything set. I just have to release it into the world, and this is a prerequisite. I simplify complex ideas for you while looking at each part of the natal chart from the degrees, signs, houses, and their interrelationships. Again, a prerequisite for all my other astrology trainings and upcoming certification. Of course, I simplify complex ideas so that you can easily digest it. If you've ever found trying to read your natal chart confusing or hard, I break down all these complex ideas in short videos with worksheets that are super fun. I always hear how wonderful my teaching style is. And lastly, this is not your status quo astrology, okay? Written in the Stars, I'm going to share with you my innovative perspective so that you can learn astrology like you've never learned it before, one that opens you up to seeing astrology in a new, empowered, inclusive, innovative way. This language of astrology that I've created comes from my exploration of my identity in both work and branding, and throughout my life after years of being stuck playing small and feeling unworthy. So, astrology is my and now your strategic tool to uncover what propels you forward in life on your entrepreneurial journey. I found that I could see people's brands and where they were on that journey by looking at their natal chart. Astrology to me is a prescriptive, not predictive tool that asks you to make better choices to stretch you into your highest potential in your work. This is a game changer. a life changer. So I would love to invite you to join me for the live cohort. We start on August 22nd. Every day you'll get dripped a pre-recorded training, and then I will come on live via Zoom to answer your questions, and we'll be having a pop-up Facebook group to build community and to further network and ask your questions. I absolutely love this. Now, if you're one of the hundreds of people that have already taken this, there is an affiliate link as well. And if you share this with your friends, for every registration, you'll earn back a little bit of cash. So if you're interested in Written in the Stars, I really invite you and head on over to thesavvyluminary.com/written in the stars and sign up today. Let's spark this movement together. Okay, thank you for letting me share a little bit about my movement, and let's get back to this Aquarius full moon. So Aquarius at full moon of 19 degrees, this is a fixity full moon. What I mean by fixity is that we have a ton of planets in fixed signs. Aquarius and Leo, of course, fixed energies of the modalities. And then we still have the North Node, Uranus, and Mars in Taurus, more fixed energy. And so this full moon at 19 degrees of Aquarius, the moon is really close to Saturn retrograde. So the moon and Saturn is the Saturn, we can think of it as mastery. We can also think of this as limitations or contractions. And so this full moon is really being like illuminated by not just that conformity that Natalie and I were talking about, but like what parts of the system are we still opting into that keep us stuck in those boxes, right? And then that North Node and Uranus in Taurus, that's making this beautiful T square. This is saying, hey, it is time to change. Earlier, when I said that you have to spark that inner change, otherwise, change is going to happen to you. Like, change is inevitable, right? But there is this change feels like really brittle, that if we don't spark this change, that something can shatter. So maybe you take that little emergency hammer and already shatter that glass, okay? Because Uranus likes to break through. And so if you're not consciously breaking through for yourself, something is going to break through for you. And usually when we're not sparking it ourselves, like sometimes that can feel a little bit out of control. Not to fear monger you, of course, but just to know what this lunation is really asking you to do. So in the Savvy Luminary, I want to answer some of these questions because they really all relate to the astrology of this full moon. And, anybody can hop on to my free Facebook group, The Savvy Luminary, and I'm always asking questions there, answering people's questions. It's so amazing. So, Sarah asks, or she doesn't really ask a question, but she makes a comment that she is broken in the best way possible, saying that what this full moon was really illuminating for her is that she cannot say or think a thing unless it's the truth, and that her voice is becoming so activated. She cannot stand not taking a stand anymore. So congratulations with Sarah. And then Bonita asks about that Saturn retrograde 2 degrees away from the moon and wants to know, is this the idea to refine our innovative creative endeavors and make sure that they're going to hold up in grounded reality? Bonita, that is an amazing way to kind of to interpret that, right? Because Saturn wants us to master things, and because Saturn is going retrograde, that mastery is like, hey, are we on the right track? Are we sustaining and upholding the things that are important to us? And of course, that Aquarius moon is, yes, are we making change? Are we sparking that innovations that we want? And so to me, when I see that Saturn really up like next to the moon, I'm thinking about the systems and the boundaries that Saturn is like putting on top of our need for creative expression. Okay. And so the purpose of the full moon, of course, is to illuminate so that we can celebrate the changes and accomplishments that we've already made. And we can let go of the things that are still holding us back from our intentions. And so, Bonita, for you, just thinking about your innovative, creative endeavors with Saturn there, are you still in a box? Is basically what is being asked of you. The sun is illuminating your creativity and showing you, hey, are you mastering or putting things in a box? If you're mastering things and redefining your own systems and redefining your own structures to uphold, then celebrate that. If being grounded in reality is one of your values, then for sure lead by those values. Um, Crispelin, and I hope I pronounced your name right, you were asking, what does this full moon mean if someone's moon and rising is also in Aquarius? Whew. Well, it really depends on how close your moon and your rising is, but you can already sense that this is a big one for up leveling and illuminating all the ways you are showing up as a change making leader. To be free and to create change is a necessity, one of your primal needs, or things that make you feel emotionally secure because of your moon. And your rising is that leadership and that role that you are presenting yourself in your change making work. So for you, the question would then be with this full moon, are you? Have you been shining bright and stepping out as that change making leader? Or are there still fears that are holding you back because you're not feeling secure enough to really show up as that innovative leader, regardless if people think that you're too different or too unique? You need that. And so when I share the personalizations, I'll share a little bit more about what I'm inviting you to celebrate and let go during this full moon. Jen asks about the moon in Aquarius and interested to know if Venus return happening ahead of the moon. And okay, let me simplify this. So Jen has a question basically about Venus moving into Leo along right before this exact full moon in Aquarius, and then the manifestation time frame of this Lion's Gate. So I haven't really talked much about the Lion's Gate, but I've really been watching what people have been talking about the power of this opening of this portal that comes in, right a few days in front of and behind of August 8th, called the Lion's Gate. I am not an expert in Lion's Gate, but just watching and listening what's going on social media and how people are talking about this energetic uplift, people are talking about it as this wonderful place of manifestation. Now, when we think about astrology and the full moon phase, we think about the full moon phase as kind of a more pruning and releasing more so than a manifestation. And so I don't have an answer per se, like, should you be manifesting or should you be releasing? Like, this, of course, I open it and I offer it to you to choose what's best for you. Now, I do know that our ability to manifest has everything to do with all of the gunk that we may or may not be holding onto. That, like thinking about like if your closet is really, really full and you can't find any clothes and you go to the store and you keep on buying all these clothes and you still are super dissatisfied with your outfits because you cannot find the thing that you're looking for. That is also a problem of manifestation because the closet has too much stuff in there. There's no space, there's no room to recognize and see the wonderful things already in your possession. And so when we think about this Lionsgate full moon, thinking about, have we made the right amount of space before we start bringing in our desires? And so, again, making space by letting go of beliefs and things around Aquarian or Leo ideals. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I go into those personalizations. And then, of course, Venus entering Leo. Venus has just been speeding along the zodiac right now, and she's just zipped through Virgo. She's already entering Leo, where Venus in Leo, oh my goodness. Venus enters Leo a little earlier in that day, and she stays there only for a little less than a month now through August 11th through September 4th. And when Venus is in Leo, she's valuing and attracting creative projects, play, and pleasure, even more than she normally does, right? In Leo, she loves like getting glitzy and glammy. So while Venus is about attracting the people and resources we need to thrive, while she's in Leo, she connects and magnetizes in the best way when she's leading from her heart and following her joy. So it's still a reminder to play here and really using play as a revolutionary act and change, right? So it's important while Venus is in Leo to keep it heart centered, for Venus picks up opportunities to connect through shared values gathered from her creative process. This will allow you to shine brightly with confidence when you're surrounded with all of your other I just think the picture that I have, I'm kind of digressing. The picture that I have of Leo, Venus and Leo, is she's just like dressed in this bright red dress. She's wearing all of the jewels and all of the gold. Maybe she picked up a crown or something, and she's just like out wanting to dance and wanting to play and wanting to energize and connect. So if you have Venus in Leo, you love connecting with other bold, confident, creative souls, as you too have that bling and flair in your own style. So bring that out with self love, self adoration, and originality all the way. You appreciate shining brightly and attracting more of that when you are sharing your brilliant creativity and style. Yes, style, all about the style here. Be sure to shine brightly if you have Venus in Leo without stealing the thunder from others. There's a way to share the stage. You do it so well. Now, you might be getting caught up in craving admiration and recognition by the world at large and wanting those who love you most to fawn over you. Okay. Don't get too caught up on that. Find the balance. And in your work, flirt with the world, not to manipulate, but to show that you appreciate in your fellow person. Harness your bold style in art. Glam it up, add more gold, wear all the accessories, no apologies needed. No matter what, use your inkling for performance and magic to bring magic wherever you want to spark joy in, to draw in the people and resources you need to thrive. The more fun you're having, the more you will attract more fun. Use your creativity to be the best version of you who can shine brightly and warm those who are seeking your light. Your audience is waiting for you to connect to them with your heart and show them how it's done. Yes. So going back to you, Jen, your question with this Leo in Venus, it just feels so much fun and vibrant. So even though there's change that needs to be made, it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be hard work. In fact, the more fun and the more vibrancy and creativity you can bring to this, the more impact it will have. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about personalizing your full moon reflections. So, as the Leo sun fully illuminates the Aquarius full moon, if you are, we're activating a polarity, an opposition of sorts in your chart so that you can integrate opposing themes. Okay, so if you're Aries or a Libra rising, you're being asked to celebrate the changes you've made in social impact. Now, I want you to let go of the ideas that you are not good enough so that you can shine brightly in your creativity. If you're a Taurus or a Scorpio rising, here you are being asked to celebrate the changes you've cultivated in your inner life. Let go of looking for all those external symbols and status of success so that you can be confident. Again, for you, Taurus and Scorpio risings, this confidence comes from inner tracking of success. If you're a Gemini or a Sagittarius rising, This full moon asks you to celebrate your ability to communicate what you want and to let go of limiting self beliefs so that you can have fun. Yes, you can have your cake too. This is the full moon where you're being invited to eat your cake. If you're a Cancer or Capricorn rising, this full moon is asking you to celebrate how you've added value through your change making work and to let go of your scarcity mindset so that you can value and prioritize play. That's right. If you are Leo or Aquarius rising, celebrate the changes you've made in your leadership and relationships. Let go of putting others ahead of yourself so you can live boldly. And lastly, for those Virgos and Pisces risings, this full moon asks you to celebrate the changes you've made in your daily wellness practice and to let go the need to overwork so you can have some fun. All right. So, if you don't know your rising sign, I want you to celebrate how you have impacted and created change in your life already, just to simplify that. How have you made change? And then I want you to reflect on the things that you need to let go that keep you from having fun and joy in your life. Such a beautiful full moon. So that was a lot for this Aquarius full moon. Thank you for joining in. And I want you to remember that your values, your joy matters, that you being you is a form of activism, that you have the choice and the freedom to opt out of conforming to systems of oppression, that you have the freedom and mobility to go after your own passions and creativity, that you can create and have fun for absolutely no other purpose, and that the more fun and joy you build in your heart, the more that you have to contribute your surplus of creativity and vitality into the world. You, my friend, you, my luminary, are a change maker. All right. Well, until next time, and if you are interested in joining my movement, please consider signing up for Written in the Stars. I'll talk to you soon. If you love this podcast, please consider doing me a favor and heading over to Apple iTunes and leaving me a rating and review. Your rating and review helps this humble podcast get seen and found by more listeners like you. Please share the love.